So why are the Ukrainians shooting so many Russian planes down lately? And Joey Contino was reporting today that 3 Russian planes were shot down just this past 24 hours. And previously, people have been freaking out because the Russians have been losing like 11 planes in 12 days. And here's the thing. It's not only that the Ukrainians are shooting them out of the sky, it's that the Russians are losing them, right? And this is where I think some of the action might be. Now, Joey, and I love Joey's stuff, but Joey is like, I think maybe the Ukrainians have some sort of secret weapon, some kind of new weapon that there is making them more effective. Could be. I don't know. The thing is, though, I go back to Napoleon's idea that war is a contest in blunders. So whenever one side is doing well, I keep in mind that it means that the other side is doing poorly, and maybe it's their fault that they're doing poorly. So with Russia, what might be going on here? Well, ISW a week ago said that Russia is now engaged in an offensive. And, in this war, because there's just this kind of background noise of violence, constant violence, it's hard sometimes to see when somebody's actually making a bigger push. And, you hear general comments about it, but, there just seems to be a lot of fighting. We've heard for a long time there's been fighting up. This is in the northern part of the country, in Luhansk into Kharkiv Oblast. And ISW says, no, this is an organized offensive, right? We are seeing an organized effort to take the terrain between the Russian lines and the Oskil River. And that would get them over the Luhansk line and a little bit into Kharkiv Oblast and put them on the river, putting the Ukrainians on the other side. It's actually a rather sensible objective. The thing is, if that's what's going on, then the Russians might be telling their pilots, get out there and support this. And their pilots are going out and getting their heads handed to them. And that could very well be what's going on. That something that might support this point of view is another content creator. Give me a minute, I'll remember his name. I can't do it. Anyway, he said today that he was, he didn't say, he was laughing about the Su-57 being used for the first time. And he was laughing because the Russians sent the Su-57 along with 2 Su-34s, which are not stealthy. The whole point of Su-57 is supposed to be stealthy, but then they send these 2 big, these 2 giant radar return planes, and he thought that was funny. And I'm like, yeah, well, that is kind of funny. But at the same time, I hear that and I go, well, the Russians really want their plane back. Right? That they're using this weapon for the first time. They don't want it shot down. So they send 2 planes to guard it and to absorb any shots, right? So these 2 Su-34s are big flashing shoot me signs for any missiles coming at the plane. But the point is, this escalation, this use of their best plane supposedly for the first time, might indicate this higher level of activity, right? So it might go along with this idea. So it could be that the Ukrainians have just always been this good at shooting down planes. The Russians have just been more wary of it. And we could be seeing the dynamic that goes on here, right? These air attacks might be perhaps the most visible indicator of the increased Russian activity, of this Russian offensive. And we might be seeing the cost, right? They might be another indicator of the disproportionate losses that Russia is going to suffer in such a defense. And this is what the Ukrainians are doing, at least in that part. As long as they sit tight, even if they have to give up some ground, they can still be inflicting these losses. And so we're seeing that perhaps with these aircraft. So that's what I think is going on.